around because in this instalment of the TV pilot graveyard we're celebrating the unbreakable, often dysfunctional, bond of friendship, or at least the sitcom pilots that tried to. The Best Mates sitcom is a cornerstone of comedy, built on shared experiences, mutual exasperation and that one friend who always gets you into trouble. But for every Friends or 2 pints of lager and a packet of crisps, there are countless duos, trios and quartets who never got past their first episode. Join me as we explore the friendships that fizzled out before they even began and ponder why these comedic friendships hit the cutting room floor. This is an unusual unbroadcast pilot, as the script was not entirely new. Bunclark with an E was based on the Hancock's half-hour Season 5 script Economy Drive. Hancock writers Ray Galton and Alan Simpson said people were always saying that we should remake some of the Hancocks, and we decided to do so 5 years after he died. We did a pilot of one of the Hancock scripts with Arthur Lowe. We rewrote the first page to try and explain the relationship between Arthur Lowe and James Beck, who was playing Sid James. And it went like a bomb. Arthur Lowe was a hugely popular and talented actor, known for curmudgeonly but endearing characters like Captain Mannering in Dad's Army. James Beck was also a well-regarded character actor, and they were currently working together on Dad's Army. You might ask why people wanted the Hancock's half-hour shows remade. The simple answer is that most of the first 4 seasons went out live, so there were no recordings available to rebroadcast them from. In February 1973, BBC management planned to commission 2 series of 13 episodes each and agreed for a pilot to be made. Arthur Lowe had been suggested for the Hancock part. BBC producer Duncan Wood met Galton and Simpson, Lowe and Beck in March 1973. After 5 days rehearsal, the pilot was recorded in Studio TC6 at Television Centre on the 18th of May 1973. Alan Simpson said he thought that Lowe was sensational in the Hancock role. On the 7th of June 1973, the BBC changed their mind and said they only wanted 6 episodes. However, this decision was going to become irrelevant. Sadly, Beck died on the 6th of August 1973, aged 44, from complications of pancreatitis. There was a further meeting between Galton and Simpson and Lowe, at which it was said that Arthur Lowe was shaken and superstitious. Lowe said, "These things come in threes. First Tony, then Jimmy. We're not doing it." James Beck's death tragically meant the project was halted, and the pilot remains a curiosity in the history of British television comedy, a what-if moment in the careers of 2 great writers and 2 fine actors. This group of best mates had been on 3 previous outings together, so it's even more disappointing that their 4th and final excursion was never broadcast. Art Adrift was the sequel to Peter Turson's celebrated plays The Fishing Party, Shakespeare or Bust and 3 for the Fancy. They featured Brian Glover, Ray Mort and Douglas Livingston as Art, Ern and Abe. This continuation of their journey would have been a significant cultural event for fans of the original trilogy. While this entry does not strictly conform to a sitcom pilot, it's entirely possible this 30-minute play could have developed into a series. This episode was made at the BBC Pebble Mill Studios, Birmingham. Many people remember the studios for the eponymous weekday magazine show broadcast live at 1 p.m. from 1972 to 1986. The studios were closed in 2004 and were demolished in 2005. Art Adrift was due to be broadcast as part of the Second City Firsts series. However, it became a missing episode. Having not been broadcast, it's not known what happened to the tapes, which were not discovered until 2013. As part of a celebration of Pebble Mill, the newly discovered Art Adrift was shown at the Kaleidoscope 25th anniversary event in Stourbridge in September 2013. As the recording has never been aired on TV, the script is not a published work, and there's no online review of the Kaleidoscope viewing, we can only speculate what the story of Art Adrift might have been. Fortunately, Peter Turson was a prolific playwright, so we can make some educated guesses about likely themes and premise. Knowing that art in Art Adrift refers to Arthur the Miner and that it was intended as a sequel to Turson's other plays means this pilot would feature the trio of working class miners Art, Ern and Abe, so the established character dynamics, their distinct personalities and their unique perspectives would be central to the show. It continues Turson's recurring theme of working class men engaging or struggling to engage with high culture or experiences outside of their usual sphere, often with comedic or poignant results. Shakespeare or Bust shows Art, Ern and Abe's initial cynicism, eventual engagement and constant banter. Art Adrift would have continued this. Perhaps in Art Adrift there is a play on words with art referring to artistic endeavours as well as Arthur. In the book Respectability, the Organisation of Art and Royalty in Art by George Moore, Moore suggests that what constitutes art should not be limited to what the Royal Academy tolerates. He asks, why should we not have free trade in art? I would turn art adrift, titleless, RA-less. Perhaps Turson felt that art shouldn't have gatekeepers, but grant any person who makes art the same avenue of display and profit as members of the Royal Academy. Turson might have written the play from the perspective of Art, Ern and Abe creating their own artistic work, or for them to be exposed to art in a gallery, reinforcing the idea that art is for everyone. Imagine Ern's practical cynicism applied to modern art, or Abe's quiet observations, or Art's attempts to understand it all. The gallery might be near water, a river or canal. There might be many such galleries in the country. A waterside gallery might explain why the title is Art Adrift, meaning the lads become separated from dry land. Whatever the situation, Turson's signature blend of observational humour, working class wit and underlying social commentary on class, aspiration and the accessibility of culture would define the dialogue. It is especially confusing and disappointing that it was not broadcast, considering it would have been the final outing for our three miners. A run of Second City Firsts plays were broadcast in October to December 1974. The episode that aired on the 9th of December 1974 was a repeat of Match of the Day by Neville Smith, originally shown in March that year. The other episodes in this run of programmes were all first showings. It seems likely that Art Adrift was intended for that time slot and, having assessed all the possibilities, it was probably withdrawn due to an internal BBC editorial decision related to its content. It's easy to imagine some of the art depicted female nudes, their inclusion or remarks made by the characters could have been considered inappropriate. The BBC did cancel or delay a number of 1970s plays due to controversial content, but as far as I can tell, all the others were eventually broadcast. The similarity of the title of this next unseen sitcom pilot with the cultural phenomenon that was Saturday Night Fever is as far as any parallel goes. Friday Night Fever might be problematic, as the only information about it is a group of men who play poker find that one of them has been homosexual and never told them. The description could be read to presume that the individual should have told his friends about his sexuality, or that this was somehow a dark, shameful secret that should have remained unsaid. Dealing with themes of sexuality needs caution. The representations and acceptance of LGBT people in media has changed significantly over time. Gay men in TV were often portrayed as flamboyant, effeminate and used for comedic effect. Lesbians were seen less often but depicted as tomboy stereotypes or as a source of novelty. Their sexuality was often the sole defining characteristic rather than a facet of a complex personality. Homosexuality was frequently presented as a problem for the main straight characters to grapple with, often involving discomfort or misunderstanding. While some stereotypes still exist, there's a strong push for more nuanced and diverse portrayals. characters are no longer solely defined by their sexuality. They have careers, families, friendships and struggles that transcend their LGBT identity. In Friday Night Fever, the entire show appears to be predicated on the perceived problem of the secrecy and the revelation of homosexuality within an otherwise straight male group. The tension likely comes from the other men's reactions and potential discomfort or prejudice. In Will and Grace, Will and Jack's homosexuality is neither a problem nor a secret. It's simply a given. The show masterfully normalises their sexuality, exploring Will's dating life with the same comedic lens applied to Grace's heterosexual experiences. Furthermore, it subverts expectations by portraying the two gay leads as just friends, underscoring that shared sexuality doesn't automatically equate to romantic compatibility. In Friday Night Fever, the humour might come from the initial shock and subsequent potentially clumsy attempts by the straight men to navigate this new information, or the more negative path of homophobia, misunderstanding and the straight characters' negative reactions. It would be realistic for the time if the gay character was treated with some degree of suspicion, especially if the group have known each other for a long time before this admission was revealed. But there is little room for comedy in that interpretation. The comedy hopefully stemmed from positive aspects of their relationship and acceptance that their long-standing friendships had not been impacted negatively by their gay friend in all the time they had known each other. Our fourth unbroadcast pilot is another regular weekly Friday night gathering of friends in the Friday Night Club. They are described as a disparate but devoted group of 20-somethings, friends since university, who go their own way all week but meet up every Friday evening at the same bar to decide how to spend the evening or even the weekend. At first this sounds like the buddy comedy to beat them all. They've known each other so long they know each other's lives more or less inside out. Or do they? Which one secretly has a crush on one of the others without ever admitting it? Who does not have the perfect marriage and home life despite all external appearances? Does one of them secretly despise a long-standing group tradition but has gone along with it for many years to maintain harmony? Each of these potential secrets could lead to an episode. Is the crush revealed voluntarily, or is something discovered that makes them admit their infatuation? Does the broken marriage get explosively revealed? A slip of the tongue or an overheard conversation could reveal the true feelings of the friend who's fed up with one of their traditional activities. However, in the sitcom world, whatever dark secrets are revealed, everything will be more or less back to normal in time for the next episode. It could have been another coupling, which is often considered the UK's answer to Friends. Coupling follows 6 friends in their late 20s and early 30s as they navigate dating, relationships and friendships in London. While they don't exclusively meet at one bar, their social lives are very much intertwined. The American How I Met Your Mother very much aligns with the Friday Night Club. It centres on a close-knit group of 5 friends and later 6 in their 20s and early 30s living in New York City. Their lives revolve around meeting up at a bar to discuss their lives, relationships and careers. The Friday Night Club would have likely visually combined the grounded realism of a typical British pub with the ensemble focus of Friends and How I Met Your Mother. Tonal-wise, it would probably lean closer to the witty, character-driven and slightly cynical observational humour of Coupling, filtered through the specific anxieties and experiences of British 20-somethings in the 2000s. It would feel less like a grand romantic quest, as in How I Met Your Mother, and more like a snapshot of friends trying to figure out life, one Friday night at a time. Sex and the Chippy was a pilot made for E4, based around a Liverpool chip shop, and followed 3 women in their early 30s, recounting their exploits over the course of a night out. It was written by Hollyoaks writers Heather Robson and Neil Jones, with additional material from comedy writers Tim Alsop and Stuart Williams. Shane Allen, Channel 4's head of comedy, described it as a glossy, raucous, upbeat and excruciating. We're delighted with the script. It's bursting with great banter and some truly jaw-dropping set pieces. The cast are all really exciting, and it's so good to be getting behind something female, funny and young for E4 to complement the In-Betweeners. That is quite a build-up. Although a show to complement the In-Betweeners, that's a tall order. Sex and the Chippy sounds a lot like Pulling in terms of tone and demographic. Pulling followed three single women in their late 20s, early 30s, living chaotic lives in London, dealing with bad dates, career struggles and often making terrible decisions. It was renowned for its frank, adult humour, raucous energy and portrayal of female friendships and dating life. The combination of upbeat and excruciating suggests moments of high energy and fun that rapidly spiral into profound embarrassment or awkwardness, often in a public and highly visible way, leading to those jaw-dropping set pieces. We might have joined the three women getting ready together at one of their flats, a whirlwind of cheap Prosecco, loud music, questionable fashion choices and rapid-fire banter as they hype each other up for the night out. Later in the night, there's a moment in a nightclub where they genuinely feel fantastic, momentarily believing they are the queens of the dance floor. Leaving the club is not without its dangers, like dealing with the very real and often gross bodily functions like vomit in a way that is utterly mortifying for the character but hilarious for the audience. Since it's based around a Liverpool chip shop, a major set piece would undoubtedly occur there. One of the girls, no doubt as a result of one too many Jaeger bombs, has a highly inappropriate or explicit conversation with a customer while queuing, resulting in shocked faces and quick exits. Sex and the Chippy might have more in common with its near namesake, Sex and the City, that stars Liverpool-born actress Kim Cattrall as Samantha Jones, than you might think. Both shows are female-centric and likely to involve the girls discussing sex, frankly, and from their own perspective. Their chip shop rendezvous mirrors the city girls' brunches that are often filled with explicit details and honest reflections about their sexual adventures. Whether it's the Chippy or the City, these shows highlight the importance of a strong female support system in navigating the challenges of careers, relationships and self-discovery. Sex and the City is aspirational yet relatable. It offered a glamorous fantasy of New York City life, complete with fabulous fashion and exciting social circles, but also explored the very real emotional struggles and vulnerabilities of its characters. The girls in the Chippy are probably near rock bottom, ending the night with a kebab and large chips, a good portion of which will no doubt end up on the pavement as they drunkenly totter on impossibly high heels along the street. Ben, Gaz and Josh are the three friends in our final offering today. They are all job seekers. The writer Lee Dilley says he was heavily influenced by his own experiences. I struggled with making ends meet and would snatch at any job opportunity that came up, having 9 temp jobs within 1 year. I recall applying for 120 jobs within 1 week and only receiving one response back for a shelf-stacking job that stated I was overqualified. The synopsis of the pilot says, they're the unemployed who bring a new meaning to the term job seeking. Ben is forced back into his old way of life in a socially dwindling Derby. Gaz, while struggling to find focus in life, finds himself potentially hindered but entertained by Josh, who is the salt of the earth and just as simple. Although this pilot has never been broadcast, I have managed to watch it. Ben Summers has been fired from his job in London, so has returned to Derby to live with his grandmother. He is probably the worst off as he's a middle management type. While at the job centre he bumps into his old mate Gaz, who is an unemployed brickie. Unemployed because he'd had an argument with the boss and thrown a brick at him. He hasn't told his girlfriend he's been fired. They go back to Gaz's place for a cuppa and Josh, who lives nearby, pops round. Josh is a slob and a liability. It seems he's likely to get little Josh out at the slightest suggestion. He is always eating and talks with his mouth full, and what he's saying is mostly unintelligible. Ben's ex-girlfriend, Alexandra, has arranged for a job interview for him where she works. Ben is already imagining them back together. On the way he bumps into a guy and spills his coffee on the guy's white shirt. He turns out to be the interviewer. Gaz borrows Ben's suit to go for an interview that turns out to be for door-to-door double glazing selling. After the interview, Josh wants to borrow Ben's suit for his interview, but hasn't brought anything else for Gaz to wear, so they swap clothes in the bushes. Ben didn't get the job, but Alexandra invites him out for a drink that night. Gaz and Josh tag along. However, Josh's antics at the bar spoil Ben's chance of getting back with his ex and gets them all thrown out of the pub and barred. Despite the comedic friction, at the core is their genuine friendship. They lean on each other, commiserate and occasionally pull each other through tough times in a very men behaving badly, male bonding kind of way. Things were looking good for the production. The Job Seekers pilot was filmed in Derby in July and August 2013. There was a successful screening of the pilot at the Derby Arts Centre in December 2013 with a sold-out audience, followed by a screening at BAFTA in London in April 2014 to a great response. It is good. It has lots of possibilities for future plots and character arcs. After the BAFTA event, the team were then signed by a production company who were able to get Job Seekers on commissioners' desks, including at the BBC, Channel 4 and ITV. Despite this preliminary success and interest, Job Seekers unfortunately never got picked up for a series. As the credits roll on our exploration of Best Mates sitcom pilots, we're left with a sense of what might have been. It's a sobering thought that some of these truly unique friendships never got the chance to blossom on our screens. Yet, for every lost opportunity, there are countless celebrated sitcoms that perfectly capture the absurdity and beauty of friendship. So, while we mourn these unaired bromances and sister acts, let's raise a glass to the enduring power of mateship, both on and off screen. If you enjoyed this dive into the unseen side of British comedy, hit the like button, subscribe for more content like this and ring the bell so you don't miss my next video. Thank you for watching.